This is the only guide you need to master Mr. Fantastic. I'm not just going to read out the abilities like you can't read them for yourself. Instead, this video is kept short and informative as possible, and it includes the best attack combos, the best ways to deal insane amounts of damage, and the best playstyle tips and team strategies for Mr. Fantastic. So let's start with this infinite tank combo. The idea behind this is that we use our primary attack, grab attack, and our E ability to continuously deal the maximum amount of damage possible to fill up our elasticity meter to enter tank mode. And then we infinitely repeat this to go back into tank mode like in a loop. But wait, if tank mode only lasts for about 6 seconds, how is this an infinite combo? Let me explain by actually showing you the combo. Notice this elasticity meter that'll charge up when you use your abilities and when attacks connect with an enemy. Pay attention to how fast it charges up while we do the combo, which goes like this. Left click, then a quick animation cancel using a right click, and then left click again. You're now pulling the enemy towards you, wait for them to get super close, and then spam the E ability. And if you did the full combo perfectly, you should now be in tank mode. But if you find yourself at 95% elasticity, just use your melee attack one more time. But you know what this actually means? You now almost always have 1000 HP, like all the time. That's insane. You can keep popping tank mode over and over, which basically makes you unkillable. Are you low on health? Boom, 600 HP out of nowhere. Just being able to keep up this combo makes you really annoying to deal with, but God forbid you have a Mr. Fantastic on the enemy side doing the same thing. But what do you do immediately after tank mode runs out? Well, remember to use your shift ability. It's kind of OP because it lets you absorb any incoming damage up to 300 total, and then you can press shift again to fire the damage back towards wherever you're aiming. But remember, it'll only shoot out 60% of the damage you receive. So it's not like you can eat up an entire ult and send that back 1-to-1. Now the reason your shift ability is important is because when tank mode runs out, we need to give enough time for the cooldowns on the rest of your abilities to come back. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to run the combo as intended. Now let's move on to some important tips on how you should be using and positioning Mr. Fantastic in your games and the kind of playstyle you need to be going for using him. Did you know that if you're in tank mode, your extra health will carry on to when you're using your ult? This is great since it'll make you even harder to kill. You should also be using your ult inside buildings or places with low ceilings so you can reduce the time between your bounces. Your ultimate guarantees 3 bounces. On the 3rd bounce, if you hit an enemy, you'll gain additional bounces for each consecutive hit, up to a maximum of 6 bounces total. Aim to achieve 6 bounces every time, as each bounce deals progressively more damage. It's kind of difficult to get team wipes or tank kills with this ult. Instead, focus on supports or other squishy enemies. Like if you coordinate with your team, you let others deal damage and secure kills while you use your ult to slow enemies and assist in finishing them off. Did you know that for the shift ability, you don't actually need to be facing towards any incoming damage? Just having the shift ability activated would absorb damage from any direction. What actually matters here is actually aiming your return attack. And it's important to know that once you've absorbed 300 total HP and damage, your shift ability will run out and you'll start taking damage like normal. Your E ability has a really long range and can attach to enemies even if they're swinging around like Spider-Man or flying around like Iron Man or Storm. Once you've grabbed hold of the enemy, you'll latch onto them and keep zooming toward them until you make contact. After that, all that's left is to follow through with the rest of the combo to finish them off. So to sum it all up, Mr. Fantastic is basically a pseudo-tank hero. If your team doesn't have a tank, you could be the one to take the lead while letting your teammates provide support from behind. You should also use this Psylocke guide to learn a combo that lets you absolutely destroy enemies. Check it out.